What's up, Facebook and YouTube?
Oh, yeah, YouTube.
What is up? Happy Thursday afternoon. Chelsea with Rock Covery here, joined by Keirstan. So I hope everyone's had a decent week so far and gotten outside to enjoy some sunshine, especially yesterday. That was a pretty hot day. I wasn't ready for it, but it felt good. It was nice to have that warm sun back. I like the sunshine, so I'm all about it.
They said it was supposed to rain, and then it ended up being like 90 degrees out all day. I was like, okay.
It's like upstate New York weather.
It was amazing.
It's weird. Like everything. Speaking of weird, we kind of wanted to lead our discussion a little bit today. Hey, Lynn. Kind of wanted to lead our discussion a little bit today about, kind of acknowledging, the heaviness and the weirdness of, being in a global pandemic right now. And that's, obviously something that none of us have ever experienced. This is brand new for all of us. And as we've talked about it many times, we're all kind of realizing, it's every week and every day is this trial and error process, seeing what works and what doesn't work, and, kind of being able to, how do we move forward and create our own new sense of normalcy, and recognizing that we can't go back to the way we were doing things before. But, more so we wanted to talk about recognizing what, this pandemic has really given us, during this time. And while it is something that's scary and uncertain and has prompted a lot of fear and confusion in all of us humans, we can also do our best to look at, trying to find a silver lining through all of this too. I don't know about you, but, it's oftentimes I'm very easily being able to get wrapped up in that negative mindset and not see the silver lining. And that creates, these really uncomfortable internal feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it took me probably a month and a half to even see the silver lining in all of this, and get to that place of like actual gratitude, not just like going through it because I know I need to practice gratitude and like trying to train myself to be okay with it, but actually feeling it, So I think like we're like that in a lot of aspects in our life, and this was a real test to that,
Yeah, it's a huge test, and right, it's this was something that was not. While certain people were able to adapt very quickly in certain areas, it doesn't make it any easier. This is a difficult thing for all of us, and for many different reasons. We're all in different parts of our lives, and, we all come from, different backgrounds and things like that. And, we know there's, people in a vulnerable population that, we're just all at different spots with this, but in a way it affects all of our lives. So same thing, it took me a while to really start, getting used to this, and, being able to start finding those little glimpses of gratitude. And for me, it's more so just being at a spot now, again, I was not in the very beginning, but being at a spot now where, moving forward, I want to be able to find the gratitude in this. And, something for me that sticks out, I've heard quite a lot of people say, and it's in one of my readings too, I can't think of exactly how it's worded, but, when I focus on the good, then I'm more likely to see the good outcomes, but if all I'm doing is focusing on the negative and the fear and the anxiety, I'm going to see more of that, so it's kind of like that law of attraction in a way too. And moving forward, I personally, want to be in a spot of gratitude, because it's not to say that those feelings of fear and anxiety don't come up. This is a big uncertain time, and, none of us know moving forward what things are really going to look like. We're kind of getting little bits and pieces here and there, but it's very uncertain and unsettling some days, so that's not to, diminish that or not acknowledge that for people. This is hard. It's a struggle, and, it's more so, can we still take time to, realize find the silver lining, and, maybe look at things in a different light that we didn't see before, things I didn't see in the beginning. So Keirstan and I wanted to talk a little bit about, things the pandemic has given us that, we didn't really know we needed. And that can come in so many different forms. So I'm kind of curious to see, what Keirstan's come up with, and I've got a couple to share with you as well too. But, and that it's being able to look for those, deeper meanings of things, of things we didn't know we needed. So we'll kind of kick things off with that. And please feel free, if you are watching this live with us right now, to join in on the comments. We would love to hear from some of you too. And, see, what are your silver linings? What are some of the gifts that, this pandemic has given you that you didn't know you needed?
Right.
But thinking about, like, it's funny because, in my, I'll probably refer to it often, but in my normal life, non-pandemic life, I'm a very busy individual. Keirstan knows I'm constantly running around with, like, all day long, from the time I get up in the morning till the time I'm, my head hits the pillow at night. And there's a part of me that enjoys that. I do enjoy the busyness, and it does it keeps me out of trouble. It keeps me accountable. I have things I have to take care of and have responsibilities. But there's also a time where it gets really exhausting, and one of those things I struggle with is just slowing down. I'm very quick to jump from one task to the next, and not pause, and not ask for guidance, and not wait for direction. I just go, go, go. And that very quickly can lead to burnout. So it's just funny. And then all of a sudden the universe is like, here, have a giant pandemic, stay home and slow down. And at first it was like, it's weird, everything very much came to this like screeching halt. And it's like, oh my goodness, like, what do I do with myself? I'm still grateful, enough to be able to work from home, but, even the pace of that has changed. So for me, one of those first things that, the pandemic has given me is that chance to just pause. Is that a cat?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was like, what is that?
It's a very large cat, too.
Very large cat. All the cats. Pandemic has given us cats. But, it's given me that opportunity to just pause and just slow down. I need that. And clearly that was something I could not do for myself. I've tried many times. And then there was days where I didn't try. It just wasn't happening. So in a way, this is one giant thing that like really forced myself and so many of us to really just slow down a little bit, stop going so hard every second of every day, take a breather, take a step back, stop and literally smell the flowers. It's no longer a metaphor in my life, but it's an actual thing. I'm pausing and I'm slowing down and I'm getting outside, and like, even if I would go take a walk or a hike in my normal life, it was very rushed. I'm like, all right, I got an hour. I got to leave here. Got to leave the woods at 2:00 by nature, and not even enjoy it. I missed it. I missed the birds and the flowers and just the normal things that we take for granted. So that was one of my first ones.
When we were talking about it, like in the beginning, one of the things I wrote down was like I put like vacation in quote marks, and it's like along the same lines of that. Like I was just going so hard all the time. Like I felt like I needed to work all of the hours. I needed to make all the money. I needed to, do all the tasks in one day. My schedule back then looked like that. It was like Monday through Friday. I was working and doing my recovery, sun up to sundown. And then on Sunday, I would like life, I'm grocery shopping and I'm cooking and I'm doing laundry all in one day, like trying to get everything done for the week, and, that was one of the first things that took me off guard to begin with was, like, what do I do? And I told you about it. I went into like a really dark place for a while where I didn't know what to do, and I didn't like that at all. And, it took a while to like see that was exactly what you said. Like, something outside of myself doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Like I needed a break. I was running myself into the ground. I was getting like irritable, and I was starting to like, it's the best way to phrase it, like not see the joy in things that I love and I know I love, like our job, for example. Like that's one of my passions. I love doing what I was doing, but at the point like towards the end, I was like, it was just a job to me. It was just a task, another thing in front of me, and I started to lose like my sense of purpose and my sense of what I was doing and why I was doing it,
Yeah.
So I think that for me is like the biggest thing that happened was that pause and that time to, not only self-care, but actually reflect and like think about, all of this stuff. Like, what am I doing? And, if the day is busy, how can I better like take care of myself, and how can I break out time, break it down so I don't have to feel like I need to run all the time. I think one of those things is like a distraction too, like we do that so we can avoid something, whatever it is. Like you mentioned, like sitting with yourself. If it's something as simple as that, like it could be, you just don't want to sit with yourself and your thoughts, or, I'm avoiding something that I haven't dealt with yet, whatever it looks like. So really being mindful of that and like taking that step back. And more recently, I've actually like gotten to the point where, going back to normal, whatever normal is, scares me now, because now this is my normal. Like all the free time is my normal, and the downtime, and being able to go on a hike and be gone for 6 hours and it have really no effect on anything, stuff like that. So I think I'm finally getting to the point where I am grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you said one thing too, and it is that, part of that busyness is not, wanting to sit with self because it's uncomfortable. And I think as a society, as humans in general, a lot of us are very much wired that way. Our society is, very wired to be busy, 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 multitasking, running here, running that, juggling 20 million things at once. And, it keeps us going. It keeps us from just sitting down and getting to know who we are, and it's uncomfortable when we sit by ourselves and alone in the quiet and the feelings. It's uncomfortable at first, and that was, experiencing a lot of that during, the beginning of the pandemic too, like, okay, well, now we're being asked to stay home and do the responsible thing. And so now I'm by myself, a good majority of the time. And it's like, wow, it takes a while to get used to, but in a way, it's this gift that I knew it was something I had been wanting to do and dive more deeply into, but I was putting it off because it's uncomfortable. And we naturally do that. We naturally push away the things that are uncomfortable, that are new, things that we don't understand. We just do that. We're just wired that way. But it's allowed me to just sit down and just really get to know myself and really to take a look at what's important, like, what am I doing during all that busy time? And it's not that those things aren't important, they're often adulting and responsibilities, and most of the time things that need to be done. A lot of times, they're just fun nonsense, which is okay. But it's forcing me to slow down and question, like, hey, Chelsea, like, what are you spending all that time doing? Why is it that you're so busy? And, what is that doing for you? And again, it's not to say that those are, bad things, but it's just getting me to question, like, where's my time going? Is it spent, doing things that are good for my recovery? Is it spent doing things that are challenging me? Is it spent with people that are meaningful to me? So it's forcing us to ask ourselves all of these questions too. Absolutely, as Kara just said, a brand new life, it's like when we really sit down and slow down and really evaluate our lives and what those really look like and what's most meaningful in that, sometimes those changes can be prompted if we're not happy with something. Now is the time to take a hold of that. Kira said it too. Bringing her to AA and getting sober. That's amazing. I love to hear that. And while so many people on one hand are very much struggling a lot more than ever right now, I'm also seeing a lot of new people come into recovery as well. So that gives me hope. And for me, it was the same thing. This time has also given me a stronger attention to my own recovery, whatever that looks like, whatever pathways anyone chooses to use. It's forced me to slow down and say, okay, like, am I doing enough? And if I'm not happy with parts of my recovery, like, what can I do to change that? And for me personally, it's pushed me into being more active in my recovery, and again, that's different for everybody, that way doesn't work for everybody, and that's okay. But for me, it just threw me into that even deeper. And I needed that personally. But that's just, one of those other gifts that this time has given me,
Right. Yeah. The other thing I wrote down too is like, it's all the same stuff, like just sitting with myself, and learning things about myself, whether I liked things, didn't like things, what was working, what really wasn't working. I'm one of those people, like, my entire life I've been told what to do and how to do it, and I'm very comfortable in that. Like, if you give me a plan that this is what my day needs to look like, these are the things I need to buy, this is the food I need to eat, this is the workout I need to do, and this is exactly how I need to do it, all of that stuff, like, I can function, and I can function successfully, and I'm good. Like, I can take orders like no tomorrow, but as soon as I'm left to my own devices, I'm like, what do I do? So I really, like, one of the things I learned through this is, like, I know who I am, but I got to know me on a whole different level that I didn't even know existed, because I've never actually taken the step back and just asked those questions. Does this actually work for me, or does it work for everyone else? And I just am doing it because that's what I know, which is fine. I needed to do that for a period of time, to get me into where I'm at now, to build that foundation, all that stuff, I extremely, like, I needed that. But it comes to a point where I was getting unhappy and I was getting, like, monotony and going through the same things and just kind of doing it, just doing it with a smile on my face because that's all I knew, and now, like, I have that sense of joy within myself. And sure, I have bad days or, things I mess up. Good God, do I mess up and make all the mistakes. But I get to learn and I get to grow and I get to build my own little path, and I think that's like one of the beautiful things about recovery, first of all, and just life in general. Is like we get to do that and forge our own little way that works for us. And, we can change things. We can, switch it up, and we always can, anytime, whatever works for us as individuals. But I think the biggest thing about this whole entire pandemic really comes down to all the time that we've had, anybody in the world to sit with yourself, whatever that looks like for you, and figure that stuff out. And I think that's like one of the biggest silver linings is everything stopped. We didn't have a choice in that. We didn't have a choice. There's very few people who still had a continuous everyday, same scheduled job.
Yeah.
Very few, so majority of the world had that time to take a step back and figure it out. So, I think that's the biggest silver lining that I can see with it.
Absolutely. And, that's one of the things, I admire about you too. There's that courage to step out and, really take this time, by the horn, so to speak, and really just look that in the face and, question, say, hey, what's working and what's not working? What was I doing before that was more so, maybe just, kind of following along or, doing things as everybody else. Cause I'm the same way. I don't know how many times, and this is just a simple example, but I don't know how many times I talk about, I'm like, you know what? I wish I could just pay somebody to meal prep for me, tell me when to work out, tell me how to work out, tell me what time to go here, tell me what time to go there. And I will just do the things, and I will do them well, but I want it all planned out for me. Right. And I think as humans, we want that very quick, how to plan, how to get from point A to point B with the quickest route possible without having to get through any uncomfortability and pain along the way and just get me there.
Right.
We are so wired that way. And, so you're right. This was the time that just very quickly forced us just to stop. And, we were almost forced to look at these things. We were almost forced to look at ourselves. It's much harder to sweep things under the rug when I'm home almost all the time. Obviously people are still going out here and there, but in the very beginning when, that was much heavier, when we were really being asked to stay home, it's really hard to hide from yourself, especially when you live alone. I can't sweep Chelsea under the rug anymore. I gotta sit down and take a look. And there's courage in that too, because I can very much relate, just kind of following along suggestions that other people have given me. And it's not to say that those suggestions haven't worked, but sometimes we lose ourselves in that. So taking the time to really look at that, encouraging, having courage and just say, hey, I need to try things for me. And this is the time where I get to do that. And I'm going to use that. And that's huge.
Yeah.
We can easily walk out of this thing completely unchanged and without, making any changes and without, just being the same old us that we've always been. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but, for me, I want to be able to use this time as a platform of growth of some sort. And, we're kind of automatically pushed into that anyways. But, for me, I don't want to go back to doing things the way I was doing them before, because like you, I was getting close to that point of burnout and just making myself nuts all the time. There's a lot of this happening all the time. So yeah, it's really asking yourselves, what is it that you want to do with this time? Do you want to, stay in that miserable mind state and focus on the negatives all the time? Or do you want to, look at something different and make a change, whatever that is for you? Kira actually put a good one that I did not have on my list up top, talking about, finances. That's amazing. You got out of debt and just got a car, thinking about where I spend my money during my normal life. And again, it's not that that's nothing wrong with going out and having fun and spending my money, but, there's times where it's of excess. There's times where going out to eat for me, 5,000 times is within a month is a little bit much,
Right.
So just saving money,
A big one was to-go coffee. I didn't know how much money I spent on Dunkin' or Starbucks. With all the meetings I was going to and everything else, I had to have that Starbucks cup of coffee. I don't know why. There was coffee at the destination I'm going to, but I need the Starbucks one, $7 later at twice a day. Insane.
You and Yana with your Starbucks, man.
For real. It's terrible, but now I just I drink coffee at home all day long, every day. Once in a blue moon, I probably 4 times in quarantine have gotten coffee outside of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and that's huge. I also, yes, Kiara just said I'm also an Amazon junkie now that since being in quarantine. I might have supplemented there, traded one for the other, because I then started buying everything online.
It's easy to do, it's very easy to do when, you click of a button and something shows up at your doorstep in 2 days and it's like, whoa,
Or if you're like me, I sent it to the center on accident and then it was like, no one's there.
That's funny. But yeah, just those little things that add up over time, how quickly those $7, I'm guilty of that too. I'm just picking on you. I'm very guilty of, buying frou coffees that are $7 piece, like, and it does, it very much adds up over time. And if anyone's unsure of that, it's kind of hard to do now because we're not doing it, but look at those receipts from 5 months ago out of your month. You look at those bank statements, see how many times the Starbucks and the Dunkin's on there. Add that up. It does. It goes very quickly,
good time. It'll show you yourself real quick.
Very quick, but now that you say that, it's making me think of one of the things that I can appreciate today is same thing. I'm not going anywhere that I don't really need to unnecessarily right now. For me, like I'm not going down the street just to buy the coffees every single day.
Right.
Very rare times I do that. Like I had one the other day because I just did, like I stopped and grabbed one. And it made me really happy, So something I took for granted every single day before, something so simple as a to-go fancy coffee that I don't have at my house, like now I can kind of enjoy that,
Right.
those little things like that, So that's another one of those things, that the pandemic's given me now is more of an appreciation for my normal season, life before, even something simple as going out to eat, something I took for granted, and, now looking at it in a sense of more so in the beginning, but, all these things that we normally go and do, whether it's, fun or responsibility, in the very beginning of all this, we were asked to literally just stay home.
Yeah.
So all these things we knew were gone temporarily. So I see people going out to eat now and I'm like driving by and I do like a double take. I'm like, oh, there's people outside. You know what I mean? It's now this foreign thing, but it's something that, like maybe we can do now and really enjoy it and really learn to be in the moment more when we start, getting back out in the world and, embracing those normal things again. Maybe we can have more of an appreciation for them now. Cause I really didn't before, going out to eat was just like, maybe I'm running late. I got to grab dinner quick. I'm not really sitting and enjoying a conversation or I'm on my phone the whole time. I take that stuff for granted. I don't care about it. Like, it's just, but now it's kind of allowing us as we slowly enter into those phases of being able to get back to those things, appreciating them a little bit more.
Right. One of the things that I just thought of too is like going back to that minimal lifestyle. Like, we don't need to go out as much. Well, we can't. But like now I'm starting to realize like I don't need to as much. I don't need to be on my phone as much. I don't need to do any of that stuff, and I'm actually happier without so much of it.
Yes.
And more financially stable. One of the last things that just popped into my head was like outside of work and, reaching out to people, obviously, but like I've taken this transition into like I really pick up my phone maybe 3 times a day, outside of work. Like I'm not on it doing like the mundane things that I used to do just to kill time. I'm actually there. I'm actually present in whatever I'm doing, whether it's folding the laundry or outside with the kids or going on a hike or whatever it looks like.
Right.
Like I'm actually there, and like I don't think that's been the case in years at all.
Right.
I always had my phone in my hand. I always was thinking about the next thing I'm going to do or say while you're talking to me. Sounds horrible, but it's the truth. Like 9 times out of 10, like thinking about the next thing I had to do. Like I'm trying to have a conversation, but I can't. Like I have no idea. So that was one of the things that I didn't know I needed, and I never would have thought I wanted either at all ever.
Right.
I'm completely okay with it. Oh God. Anyways, so that's an off-site conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and those are good ones too. You said something a moment ago. It was funny because like I was able to see my mom briefly the other day, and she's like, "Oh, I just want to go shopping at Target and Kohl's." Something we used to go enjoy doing our time together. We were, I'm blessed enough, and I'm able to go do those things every now and then and just spend stupid money. But even now it's really making me question. I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds fun too. I'm like, wait, why? Like, what do I need at Target and Kohl's, Chelsea? I don't need those things today. Like you said, I love that idea of a minimalist lifestyle. And I think about that too, like, over the years, it's always just this, it's one more of those things to fill the hole in the soul, is collecting the stuff, collecting the Amazon. And then, we talk about, the many addictions that people struggle with, it's just one more of those things to just fill this hole, and there's a natural, brain chemical reaction when we buy something, there's that instant gratification that happens.
Yeah.
And again, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with, working hard and spending that money on things we enjoy, but it's really forcing me to like really question, what is it that makes me happy? Do I really need to go buy things at Kohl's? What outfits do I need to go buy? Am I going to go parade them around my apartment for the next month? No, I'm not. I'm living in gym shorts and, bathing.
Next Zoom meeting, Chelsea's doing a fashion show in the background. Look at the things I bought.
You guys like my new outfit?
Just the shirts. It's fine. Just the shirts.
No one anymore. Oh goodness. But yeah, exactly. We can laugh at it because it's silly, and it's like, okay, do I need these things? What is it that I need? What is it that I want? And I think about that, and for me, like, I want more connection. I want more nature. Those are two of the last things I had written on there. I want more of those meaningful things in my life. It was funny because my mom and I went to visit my grandfather's cemetery, last week, and it's just kind of stopped by, and we actually had a really nice conversation, and really just thinking about, when we leave here, when all of us leave here someday, we don't get to take any of this stuff with us. None of it. Not a darn thing, Right. And sometimes I think about that, and it can be a really positive conversation, really, once again, give us that time to reflect inward and say, what is the most important thing in my life? Is it more about those connections and the people who are going to show up when I'm not here, and what they're going to say about me? Or is it about the stuff I had? Is it about the job I had? Is it about, the car, the this, the that? Or is it about the connection and the impact I made on people?
Right. Like memories that you have, that you're taking with you,
Exactly. Yeah. And those are things I want more of,
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that popped into my head while we were talking about this too is like, and I didn't know that I needed it either, was like the difference between like actual connection and like, I don't know how to phrase it, but I was like almost using people in a way, not using them for something they have, but like overindulging in humans to fill that hole, right? Like in just meaningless things, going out to a million events, literally just so I didn't have to be by myself, and so that I could feed off of them, that soul hole in the soul, however you want to phrase it, with their experiences, their life, all of that. So I think like through this too, I also learned the difference between actual connections and like who my people are, the people that I actually have these connections with, and who else, or the different types of filling that I had, and it's not to say that like my relationships with those people aren't important as well. It's just a different level, and recognizing the differences and like who I'm actually just talking to just to fill a hole, or what I'm doing to fill that hole, and actually like taking the time to step back and, build those relationships and cultivate those connections that I have, the ones that are important to me and mean something to me that I want to take with me, And here's my dad. My stuff's going in the ground with me. Of course it is, Dad. Of course. I love him.
Your dad.
We're going to see him Saturday, so we'll discuss that in further detail, I'm sure.
I will.
That's going to be a really big burial plot. That's all I'm going to say. All the trucks and all the toys and everything else. Oh my goodness, we're going to have to dig up acres to put this man in if all the stuff is going in too.
Take all your stuff with you.
Lord help me.
Oh man. Yeah. Even just the simple things, like, just the laughter, the memories, like those are the things that matter. And those are the things I want more of. And again, while this time has very much thrown a giant curveball at us and said, here, like, figure out how to do life a different way. We can do that. Once again, we don't have to stay in that spot of negativity and feeling stuck. Right. And, it's not to acknowledge that we don't feel that. It's okay to acknowledge it, but we don't have to stay there. We can move forward. We can take action. We can figure out a different way to life. We can figure out a different way to connect, a different way to, get outside and enjoy different things, and a different way to create new memories.
Yeah.
So I challenge you all who are tuning in with us right now, and who are going to tune into this later, like, question yourself, really think about that. What has this time given you? Has it given you a little anxiety and fear? Probably, yeah. That's normal for all of us, and that's okay. But what are some of the good things that's given you? I challenge you is your kind of takeaway today to really think and reflect on that. Because when we keep that, that attitude of gratitude on the forefront of our minds, like, the days can go much smoother. And that's not to say that life doesn't happen and things don't get difficult. And, it's not to say that those things don't happen, but it helps us get through those times a little bit easier when we remember the things that we're grateful for and the people that we're grateful for,
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome sauce. Well, that was good discussion. So if anyone is, speaking of connection, if anyone is looking for more connection, please remember that, we're still here as recovery, looking to connect with you. If you're struggling, you have family or friends who are struggling, please don't hesitate to reach out. Our phone number is right on the screen there. You can also Facebook message us, and please share our videos. They're all up on YouTube now, as well as Facebook. And spread the positivity and the attitude of gratitude today. So Keirstan and I will check in with you next week. And there's also many wonderful other videos to carry us out through the rest of this week. So make sure you guys tune in.
That's right.
All right. Have a happy Thursday. That's what day it is. Bye, guys.